Hello and welcome to UI Chat from the Interface, the monthly show talking about everything Ubiquiti and networking. I'm your host Alex, and once again I'm joined by my co-host Evan McCann. Welcome, Evan. How you doing?
Good. Just recovering from a big Thanksgiving meal and a bunch of new gear to review.
Lots of food and lots of gear. Nice.
Yeah.
Are you UXG out yet? Are you UXG'd out yet? Or?
Yeah. So I my home network has been a UDM for a long time. It's been swapped out for a bunch of different stuff, but it's still a UDM. So I have an old USG sitting there. I never had a cloud key before, but I just bought one.
Okay.
I bought a Gen 2 Plus and a Protect camera just to play around with, and
nice.
A new USG. So I know you have yours nearby.
Uh-huh.
We have
there we go.
our gear to show off here. But yeah.
For comparison's sake, I've got an Airport Express as well. I've been photographing that today.
Oh, nice.
Different things. So, because everyone's been saying, they look exactly the same. Like,
I mean, yeah, pretty much they do.
What I found incredibly interesting was the Ethernet ports. They look exactly the same. They got the tiny little light in the top right-hand corner, and everything inside it looks exactly the same, which is kind of interesting. But
I mean, we're diving right into weird small details here. I mean, that's no different than the USG. They're all.
Oh no! I mean the style of it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I mean like the style of it. The light is in the top right-hand corner, and it just looks quite clean, quite very Apple-y. But yeah.
Yes.
The USG by comparison looks very networky. So.
yeah, for sure. I will say I already ran into it. It doesn't come with a power supply of any kind.
Just a short interruption here. Evan has since found his power supply for his UXG. He didn't quite see it in the box. So for listeners and watchers, the UXG Lite does come with a power supply.
So like pretty much any other product you buy from Ubiquiti, there's some exceptions like the UniFi 6.
Yeah.
What?
I got one with mine.
You got a power supply with yours? What?
Yeah, I got one. Let me show you. One sec, if I can find it. There we go.
Well, anyway, so the US box, I should say,
okay.
It doesn't come with a power supply of any kind, or even a USB-C cable.
Oh, that's poor.
Wow.
So, I ordered mine from the Netherlands, which is still allowed to do. It just came with the EU one, so I've got an adapter thing. But I'm going to try and do a video for Hostify powering the UXG from PoE. So I've got the USB to PoE adapter, so I'm going to try and hack that together at some point. But as of recording, which is 27th of November, the UK one is still coming soon. So I just went ahead. I was too impatient. So I just went ahead and ordered it from the EU. So.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I know Cody already released a video, of course, because he's always so fast with everything.
Even though he had a holiday, he was still very fast to release it.
Right. Vacation doesn't stop him.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what will. But yeah, I mean, his review is pretty positive, just saying, hey, it's a huge improvement over the USG, which everyone knows. I know Willie did a pretty long, thorough setup video. And I think there are some others. But yeah, I'm working on mine. I know you're working on some videos about this too. So it's UXG season.
Yeah, it's exciting. So yeah, that's the follow-up stuff. So yeah, last episode, there's been so much stuff that's happened in the episode since. So we got the UXG Lite was added to the store, and then it became available. Then it became 20th of November launch date, and then it went on sale. So as of recording, it's on sale in the EU and the US. In the UK and Canada, it's coming soon, so not sure what's going on there. And then just be aware, if you are in the UK like I am and you order one from the EU, you won't get a UK power supply, so you've got to provide your own. So, yeah.
Right. And it's still, no matter where you are, it doesn't have dual WAN, which I know everyone is upset with.
Yeah.
And yeah, even me and my just kind of playing around testing, I was kind of annoyed with the only two interfaces is very limiting because you obviously need a switch or something if you're going to connect to more than one device, so... Yeah, no dual WAN or even a third interface that you could assign either way. That's kind of the big bummer, but otherwise it seems like it's all positive.
Yeah, I saw Marcus from Ubiquiti tweeted out. He was saying, I think he put it in a nice, very corporate-y way, but he was saying everyone's whinging about the fact it's got no dual WAN, but bear in mind this is a light device, and that really is leading me on to sort of the next bit. I noticed when I had the box, so all Ubiquiti products, they have a test date on them. They actually used to have the employee name who used to test it, but anyway, that's going back very far. My one says April, so that's ages ago, and everything on the device, even the product code for it, is different to what it is on the website, I believe anyway. It just says UXG. So even on the side of the box, yeah.
Right. The FCC ID, like the SWX, that's the regulatory identification there. That's UXG. The product name is UXG. The barcode shows UXG.
Yep.
The box branding. So it's like, did they last minute decide to shift this down to be a Lite, and then now they're coming up with, I guess, no adjective UXG or something in the middle between the Pro and the Lite?
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, especially Marcus's comment, that kind of adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah, so on the website, it's UXG-Lite, and on the box, just says Next Gen Gateway. It's the first thing I noticed when I opened it, and it just says here, UXG. Yeah, as you said. So.
Yeah. And my test date was right before Halloween, so you got old stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if yours, you said April?
Hang on, let me just double check. That's not the... Oh, no. Sorry. It's my US date formats. So mine's 4th of November.
Well, hey, I got the old stuff then. But yeah, honestly, that wouldn't surprise me because there's so much lead time. I forget when the original FCC application was, but it was, I think, months ago. And then I think they had revised filings, just in November. So, I mean, it could be that these were manufactured months and months ago, but the branding changing that late is odd, if that's the case.
Yeah, definitely. So that leaves us a little gap. Not sure what that would look like. So if we had something in between the UXG Pro, because the UXG Pro is like $500, that's quite a lot of money for like home stuff. It's not really designed for that, obviously, but then in the US, this UXG is £123 in the UK. It's like €120, $120, I think, and that does leave us some sort of like the iPad lineup as well. There's like the good, better, best sort of thing. That leaves us sort of a middle one. So we'll be interested to see if they do something like that. And as you said, like Marcus said, this is the Lite device. So, but that isn't excluding the fact that if you have a LTE Pro or a ULTE, you can use it with this. So if you do happen to have one of those devices, that doesn't not give you dual WAN, so it can do it. It's just out of the box. It's just single WAN.
Yeah, that's like a. Technically, it does do dual WAN. I know it's different internationally. At least in the US, the LTE products that we have, I believe that they're tied to AT&T. I think that might have changed slightly, but they advertise like a $15 per gig, AT&T locked plan that you have to join. So it's like, yes, dual WAN technically maybe, but what people really want is another Ethernet port or SFP or anything.
Yeah. So I think this is a really good replacement for the USG, and I think the middle segment device, well, what that looks like, I've got no idea, but that'll be something coming soon, hopefully. So yeah, really good.
I mean, the two things we do know about, not to drag this topic out longer, but hey, UXG season. The UniFi Express, the UX, that we know from filings, and I think even Wispapalooza. They had a little sign for that. Yeah. So like that is kind of, it's UDR like, where it's kind of it's a console gateway, whatever they call it now, cloud gateway.
Cloud gateway. Yeah.
Cloud gateway is the new term for what used to be console or whatever they called it a month ago.
Yeah.
But yes, the UniFi Express is kind of an all-in-one controller, access point, gateway. But we don't know. I don't think we've ever seen the back side of that device. We've just seen the front with the little screen. So I don't know how many interfaces that have, but that could be kind of in between the UXG, but that's a controller, so it's not.
Yeah.
So maybe they have a controller-less version of that, but then is that the UXG? It gets very confusing.
Yeah, we shall see. But yeah, there's some videos coming out. I think, as you mentioned, I think Chris has done a video as well. I think he was first out the shot with it. Which is really cool. But yeah, everyone's going mad. I think it's sold out already, so all good. And then last episode we discussed there was a beta release of UISP Switch 1.6 with the GUI that in the time since that episode has been released to GA, so I've installed that on my device and it's all working fine, so all good.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see that, and I think I got caught up in the initial excitement of, wow, they actually did it. I mean, it does seem like it's kind of just a very basic GUI. And the same thing with EdgeOS 3.0 on Edge switches.
Yep.
That was very much just like a CSS update. Like they just updated the styling. It's the same exact features, same exact GUI underneath. But I'm happy to see both of those though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all good. Cool. Just a quick reminder before we get back into the Ubiquiti news. Thanks everyone who has been listening to this podcast. Me and Evan look forward to coming back every month to provide our takes on the latest Ubiquiti updates. We would really appreciate it if you could review this show on the podcast app you're listening in, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anything else. If you're watching our gorgeous faces on YouTube, make sure to leave a comment and hit that like button. It really helps other people find this show. Without further ado, let's get back to the Ubiquiti news. So this one's so hot. It's off the press, this one. Hot off the press. It's Ubiquiti paid site support. And you've been doing some digging into the website and figuring out what's going on with it. This is a bit wild, isn't it? This is sort of not... I wasn't even expecting this sort of thing from Ubiquiti ever, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you just saw this today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like literally just posted. And yeah, it seems like, it's kind of like what they call large project assistance, which is they're kind of, fill out this form, we'll contact you and help you build, or pick the right build your network or pick the right equipment. And it's not really clear how far they go with that. This is the same thing where all they have is a website and they have a couple like frequently asked question things at the bottom. So there's not a whole lot of information about what this is, at least the specifics. But it's $100 per site per month. That is a special early access price, which may change. You don't need to commit to more than 1 month at a time. It's only for cloud gateways, so that would be the UDR, the UDM Pro, UDM SE, UDW, and depending on how they define cloud gateway, maybe the UDM, it probably will support the UDM. But that means nothing with UISP, none of the USGs, none of the UXGs, no self-hosted controllers. You need one of those, five different products to use this. And it says it may support other deployments in the future, but we'll see about that. And it's basically a video or phone support. So it's you let them know you need help, they will call you back, and you also get a phone number to call. But it's only during the daytime, during the week, only in the US, only in English. So it's very limited with products and timing and region and in just about every way it's limited. And they don't really say what things they help with, but it's kind of implied that it's like you have a networking issue, contact them, they kind of help you out. But it doesn't really define what networking problems they help with or won't help with. Like if it's something with your upstream provider, I'm assuming they're not going to help troubleshoot those kind of things. So yeah, it's kind of unclear and it's obviously brand new, but it's interesting because that, like, if you do the math on that, that's $1,200 a month for potentially a $200 Dream router. So it's like you spend $200 on the hardware and then $1,200 a year on support for that. Like,
yeah,
it definitely it seems like a way to make recurring revenue. Like, I'm sure they're just trying to make money here, but I'm not sure who would be the market for this. For maybe businesses with a UDM Pro or UDM SE or a Dreamwall maybe, but for the home market, it doesn't really make sense. For businesses, maybe I could see this coming in handy, especially if you don't have IT there to troubleshoot those things. Yeah.
What's weird about the large project assistant still is that there still isn't anything on the website, just those request a meeting. There's no information on that page at all. But this website, I saw it on Twitter earlier, but it's been added to the drop-down for support now, called professional phone support now. But yeah, you're right, there's nothing in here about exactly what they can help with or what they can even do for you. But I'd imagine it's probably some simple stuff possibly, but MSPs now, I don't know how many MSPs are going for drop-in UDM Pros and things. I imagine quite a few of them, but I'd imagine a lot of people are doing self-hosted or like Hostify or hosting their own server and that sort of thing. And then generally, they won't really need help from Ubiquiti because they know what to do. So, and it's also priced out of. Yeah,
and if you're an MSP, you're probably the one selling that support to the business there.
Yep.
And you probably would prefer a self-hosted controller or like a UXG setup. But so yeah, I'm not sure who this is for, but it is branded as site support, not to be confused with UI Care, which is their extended warranty, and not to be confused with UniFi Elite. Do you remember what that was way back when?
Yep.
Yeah, that was. Well, I forget if that was just. I think that was just RMA replacements and maybe priority phone support or priority support in some way.
Yeah.
They've tried, they've kind of danced around this area of like actually supporting their products with paid plans. And this is the latest version, but
Yep.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I think the customer that I've got in mind probably is a big company that has in-house IT themselves, but not to a fantastic level. And then they got Ubiquiti stuff or whatever, and then there's something gone wrong with it, and then they'll maybe purchase a month of this $100. You don't have to continue. I think you mentioned in the notes that it's no contract with it.
Mm-hmm.
You could just pay. I think that's like AWS support as well, because I paid for support last year for the website. And then you can just pay 1 month up front, though you can use them for that entire amount of time and then stop paying. So you only really need it when you need it. But yeah, I'd imagine this will probably go up to like $300, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, if this is early access, I'm assuming the price will go up. And yeah, that's a good point. I guess, like a medium-sized business where they don't have a dedicated network person, maybe they have like a general IT guy or girl. And maybe they just want to spend $100 for 1 month to get their issues fixed. But it's good that it's there. I know it's a deal breaker for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but in terms of similar pricing to AWS is around that price for 1 month. So it's sort of Ubiquiti might charge more, but they will charge more than $100, I reckon. But at the moment it's similarly priced to similar stuff I can think of. So I'm not sure what Microsoft do for Azure or Google Cloud. I can't really think of anything else. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not unreasonable if you spend. I mean, even if you spend 2 hours, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Effectively consulting time there.
Yeah.
So it could be great for the right person.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. As you said, it's US only English as well. So cool. The next one is last month we were talking about whether or not UniFi Talk will actually come to the UK, and in the space in between the last episode, a lot has happened, and it's launched. So they released UniFi Talk 2.2.0 on the 14th of November to the UK, and then shortly afterwards they made I've got the two phones down there actually. They made the two desk phones available in the UK as well. Just the only thing that's not available is the ATA. That's not on sale yet, but I managed to get one last year anyway. So I've been testing things out. There's a few hiccups with it. It is early access, so I noticed other people on the forums have noticed that if you make a phone call to a mobile phone or another device, the call sometimes will just ring, won't let you answer it, and then it'll go straight to voicemail. It's really weird, really odd. So some things aren't quite working quite right just yet. They did release a patch just shortly afterwards to enable UniFi Talk performance during Starlink or carrier grade NAT.
Sorry, I was just laughing because you did the Apple thumbs up video.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, won't make sense to anyone who's listening, but I just saw that pop up beside you, and I couldn't help but laugh. Sorry to distract.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
They've made something. I guess it opens ports by itself, or does some kind of intelligent routing to make it work better with Starlink and carrier grade NAT situations, which is awesome because a lot of people are using Starlink now. So, but yeah, there's no support for number porting just yet. There is. I think that's the only thing that's missing just now. And also SMS doesn't work. It's not available just yet, but looks cool though. I haven't had a chance to play with the phones yet because I'm doing a video on those, but I've played around with a cordless phone, like a deck phone, but it seems to work alright.
Yeah, and I wonder if those issues are why they were delaying it, or maybe it's something related to their ongoing trouble to open the store there, or keep the store open, I should say.
Not sure.
So there's still no UK store officially. You still have to go to the EU, correct?
Oh no, the UK store is available now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So UK store is back. Maybe they fixed that issue, and that was what was holding us up because they delayed it a few times, right?
Yeah. What's weird is, so every time you order something from the UK, it goes to a ship forwarding company called ShipBob, and I had one of the phones arrive, and the box looked like it had been through like a shredder. Like the box was all mangled and sort of. I was surprised it was holding itself together, so I'm no idea.
That's not great.
But yeah, the only reason I bought the UXG from the EU store is the fact that they hadn't launched in the UK yet, so I was a bit impatient.
Right.
So.
Right.
And it gets imported, and then they handle all the custom feeds for you, which is nice. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the performance. Again, as I said, a few people are saying in the forums, but it is at the moment it is EA, so don't go ahead and deploy it for someone and then wonder why they've got issues. It is early access still, so just bear that in mind. The pricing for it, so it's £7.99 a month for the numbers, and then you can have every single county in the UK has got numbers available for you, so you can have whatever you want. But it seems to be alright so far. So
yeah, UniFi Talk has been around for so long, and I still kind of treat it as like I don't know, it seems like a hobby for them or like a side thing. I mean, you've used it way more than me. Like, do you think it's, especially once they obviously add number porting, fix the issues that you just mentioned, like, do you see this as like a viable phone option, and who for, if it is?
So at the moment, I'm going to drop it into my parents' business. They've got VoIP. We moved them off landline phones ages ago, so once we got better internet, because we're in the sticks, we moved to VoIP. And then just looking at VoIP systems that aren't Ubiquiti, they charge so much for everything. So they charge for SMS, they charge for call recording. The call recording is off-site, whereas in comparison, UniFi Talk, all you have to do is get a Cloud Key Gen 2 Plus, or something along those lines if you've got one. I prefer to have it on a standalone device. Hard drive, all the calls get recorded to that device, and it's relatively cheap. And then you can have the transcripts and things. But in terms of who it's for, probably small businesses and things. It probably isn't at the stage yet where a massive call center could rely on it just now. But like a small, I don't know, like 3 or 4 or 5 phones possibly, and you want one phone number, and then you don't have to pay per phone number, if that makes sense. If you've got the unlocked devices, you can share that phone number across that whole group. There's certain nice features like you can have a schedule for the greeting or the voicemail. So I'd imagine this is probably quite standard. It's probably not new to people who know VoIP more than I do, but you can have a specific voicemail greeting at different times of the day, and you can enable those, have different ringtone, all sorts of different things. So it's like a lot of Ubiquiti stuff. It's lower priced than other options, and then there's some really cool features in there that people would appreciate, and I think that's the general thing. We are missing a soft phone still. I think Cody keeps banging on about that. The fact that there's no soft phone for it. I've never really used.
Didn't they say one's coming? I thought
they left some cryptic message on Reddit a while back, said we are working on it, and then nothing since. Right. So.
Yeah. But yeah, that makes sense. Like it seems like it's especially for the line pricing, if it's that low. I could see it fitting in exactly for that. Small businesses that just want a easy, cheap solution, and probably same thing with the site. What is it? Site support. If you don't have in-house IT to like manage a PBX, those are complicated, awful things to work with usually. So UniFi Talk might be a lot better for those kind of businesses.
Yeah, I've got no understanding of a PBX. I fully appreciate like people like Chris have got a very good wealth of knowledge of PBX systems, and there's far deeper things you can go into than what UniFi Talk's doing. But just someone who's got literally no idea how it all works. I just logged in for the first time a while back, and I said, "Oh yeah, I know how this all works. So it's all easy. I know exactly what to do with this and how it all works." So yeah, that's really where Ubiquiti's I think it's called MO. That's where their sort of bread and butter is making things accessible. So I think with certain things Ubiquiti are doing now, I think they've gone past the stage of hobby items. I think we discussed this a few episodes ago. They seem to be taking things a bit more seriously than they ever used to do. So
and that's me thinking of how it was years ago, and I've kind of outdated opinions of Talk, Access.
I know,
to a lesser extent, Protect. Like, to me, those were always off to the side because that's what they were. And I know UniFi Video went away, became Protect. UniFi VoIP went away, became UniFi Talk. So to me, I'm like, just let me know when it's a stable product. And it seems like it's there. And I know we covered, I don't know if it was 2.0, whatever release it was, where they added, I think, the transcription. So it's like they're adding a lot of features. They're adding a lot of stuff that people have wanted to kind of make this a more complete system. And I think it's worth taken seriously.
Yeah, agreed. The next item is still listed as coming soon everywhere. It's the Enterprise Access Hub. I did some digging into this. This looks really cool. The current hub for UniFi Access is sort of, there's no real way of securing it, so you have to install it in your inbox, and it can only power a handful of devices and that sort of thing. Whereas this one is the enterprise model. Again, it is coming soon, but it looks like it's a lot more purpose-built. You can power a lot more devices off it. A lot of dry terminals. There's a battery backup input built in essentially, so you've got a 32 volt to 48 volt battery, so you can hook up I'm not sure what type of batteries they handle actually, because I know the SolarPoint is pretty picky on what batteries it wants, because that is lead acid.
At least for the US, I don't know if it's different. It says 32 to 48 volt.
Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah, I'm just wondering what kind of battery it supports. Oh, lead acid. So. Yeah, Ubiquiti's battery stuff, their power solutions, they only support lead acid currently, and lithium, for some reason, isn't supported. But, I mean, because this isn't PoE powered, like the other Access Hub, you can't have it powered off a UPS room, like a network closet with a UPS. So you've got to have your own little battery for it, which is fine because it obviously powers a lot more stuff. There's 60 watts of available PoE, and it can draw 240 watts total, so pretty beefy kind of thing. But yeah, they got some good options for it. Saying you can power door locks and chimes, door openers and sirens and different things. So I haven't done any deployment of UniFi Access. I know Cody has, but this looks a really good, solid option for things.
Yeah, I know Cody. Yeah, is my same point of reference there, and I think anyone who's done these deployments has been like kind of begging for a device like this. So I know this fills a need. Yep. It's 8 lock terminals, 8 plus 8, whatever that means.
Not sure.
Request exit devices and door position sensors, 8 access readers, 4 chime sirens or door openers. So I think for a lot of deployments where they were just kind of chaining together multiple access hubs. So it's nice that this higher end model is available. It is available in the US. I don't know. I think possibly Canada too.
Yep.
It's listed as 1,000 here and it's sold out, of course.
Yep.
But coming soon to everywhere else. But
yeah.
I don't really know much about Access. I that's another, like we just talked about with Talk, where I'm kind of out of date on what's current, and I think this is another thing where, when you first heard about it a couple of years ago, maybe you were like, I'm not so sure. But with the Gen 2 hardware, this new hub, this is another thing that they're putting a lot of effort into, and it's for a certain business, probably same thing, small businesses where they don't want to go with like a full, very expensive, enterprise, quote unquote, real enterprise, whatever you want to call it, solution. But yeah, that's about all I know about this thing.
Yeah, the biggest thing I've seen with the deployment image, it says it's powering 4 doors, 4 doors off one hub. I think with the current one, because it's only got a few PoE ports, you can only power, it's one of them per door, and that probably could add up quite costly. So if you pay $1,000 for one hub, you can power 4 doors and probably possibly save some money somewhere, or just a bit more easy to deploy. You don't have to go ahead and run a cable for every one. So yeah, it's good. For what I've seen, UniFi Access is pretty solid. I know I had Jim, the IT guy, on my Creator Spotlight podcast, and I know he deploys a lot of UniFi Access as well. So I'd imagine he's quite happy about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he mostly has positive things to say.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if he keeps deploying it. So,
yeah,
good that there's the second generation and some new, quote-unquote, enterprise gear. Nice.
And then, in the UniFi Access sort of topic, is a new Protect update that I've installed on my stuff. It seems to be working all right. It's Protect 2.9.42. And this has direct integration with UniFi Access. So if you've got UniFi Protect installed on any device, to be honest, any device apart from the UDR probably, because UDR can't run Protect and Access at the same time. UniFi Access will integrate with Protect. So with UniFi Access, I believe so. I think if you have a camera installed on one of the hubs, I think the camera gets integrated within Access. So I think if someone opens a door, the event of that door opening links back to a recording somehow. And then what they've said here is when UniFi Access and UniFi Protect are running on the same device, that can be either a UNVR now, which is quite cool, or any other device, you can now pair a Protect camera to an Access hub, enabling door access events to be shown in both the detections in UniFi Protect, and then, if applicable, the name of the person who opened that door as well, which is like wild. Seems quite nice, sort of nice synergy there.
Yeah, and the note about the UNVR. So the UNVR is just a bunch of hard drives, and it used to only run Protect.
Yep.
Now it can run Access. So does
Yes.
that mean can you deploy one of these without a cloud key?
Yeah.
Can you have just the UNVR?
Yep.
Huh. That's
Yeah.
that's a nice change then.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, if you could have, if I go on if I went on my UNVR now, you can install Access and you can install UID on Protect as well. So when I used to work at the WISP, we did briefly. I'm not sure what form of beta it was in, but we had Protect running with UID, and that was quite cool. You could manage manage people's access to the cameras with UID, which was quite nice. But yeah, some nice integration going on there. And then with that update, we have a ton of bug fixes and new features, as well as license plate recognition search. So with the AI cameras, you've got the license plate recognition, and then now you can just search the registration or the license plate number on with Protect. I haven't had a chance to test that out. Not yet.
Nice feature though. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Just judging by my brief research on it, ANPR cameras that can detect license plates are, 1, very expensive, 2, have very janky power supplies for them, and 3, have license fees. So the fact that Ubiquiti are doing it, again, another win. So
yeah. Where I work, we're looking at replacing our cameras, and that's what I found is everything is a very expensive piece of hardware, and then a very expensive subscription on top of that. So.
Yep. Yeah, not sure what's going on there with that sort of stuff. But yeah, ANPR cameras, I don't think the AI cameras are quite as good as an ANPR camera, because ANPR cameras, I have been unfortunate to have some letters through the post where I've parked wrong. So I've had the image come back from them, and it's like, oh, that's quite good. Even in the middle of the night, that's picked out my registration number quite well, which is great.
Well, hey, maybe if they used Ubiquiti cameras instead, they wouldn't be able to find you because the license plate search doesn't work.
Yeah, so they're not quite the drop-in replacement for an ANPR, I don't think, because the ANPR cameras have all those little LEDs on them, and the AI cameras don't have that. This lends us nicely into, again, we've got very nice linking with the topics today. The AI Pro is now available in a white colorway. So I'd imagine. So with the AI cameras and the G4 PTZ or the PTZ, they're just available in a black color, and one that's bad for heat absorption, I think. So if you've got that in direct sunlight, it'll just get hot very quickly. But also, if you got it on a white building, that's just going to stand out quite poorly. And then if you wanted a really good quality camera and you didn't want the G4 Pro or the G5 Pro, you could get the AI Pro, and it's now available in a white color, same price. It's sold out everywhere. So
so there's the white AI Pro, and then there's also the G4 Doorbell Pro is white now as well.
There is, the G4 Doorbell Pro PoE, just the PoE one for some reason, and that the kit that you get. So you get the doorbell and then the chime PoE. Those are now available in a white option as well. So, and I forgot to add it to the show notes, I think, but there is it's a bit further down, but there's a new. I was having a browse around the store as you do, and there's this new gang box mount. Now, I don't know if it's something to do with like US electricals, but I've never seen anything this sort of shape in electrical systems here. But I'd imagine you might have done, but I'm not sure what purpose that has. Not really sure. So
yeah, I saw pictures of that new gang box mount. I mean, it looks like, I don't know if it's just plastic, but it just kind of looks like a shroud around. Around here, I know we have a lot of Ring cameras, and a lot of them have either that angled mount, which I know they've had forever, but some of them have a little bit more kind of similar to that gang box mount. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I would assume it's to fit over a standard size cutout, where if you're replacing an existing doorbell with that standard gang box mount, I would assume that's what that's for. That's just to make it an easier place to stick a G4 Doorbell Pro.
Yeah, it's aluminium apparently, so it's all metal, and it says allowed secure installation on both old and new single gang boxes. So as I said, I've never seen anything that sort of shape here anyway. Sort of the very tall rectangle sort of shape, but I'd imagine it might be more commonplace over there. But
single gang box would be like a standard outlet. So like a two outlet. One on top of each other, that's a single gang.
I see.
Double gang would be 4 outlets, 2x2. So I guess that's nice for, I don't know who would have a either an empty wall box there or like an electrical outlet, but
No idea.
it's nice for mounting flexibility. Same thing with there's like 3 or 4 different ways to power those things depending on which model you get, and now there's just more mounting options, because I'm sure there's some people that complain and say, hey, I have a single gang box and I can't mount it here, so this is their solution for that.
Yeah, you've got USB-C for power and then Wi-Fi for data. You've also got USB-C with Ethernet over it, and you've also got the SPAY connectors, and then you've also got PoE. So they've got 4 or 5 different options, which is, considering we've come from, where was it, 2019 or 2018 with the first G4 doorbell. It was had a few issues. We've come a very long way in terms of their doorbell offering. So awesome. The next item you've got on the list is you've been very good and put all the little like topics for UniFi 8. So we've got UniFi Network 8.0. I can't remember if we had this last episode, but it's now...
It was it was in early access, so I don't remember which one it was, because I think they had 8.0.2 and then .6, but .7 is the one that became an RC and became now general access. Yeah,
this I've had a chance to play with it on my UDMSE and then on some hostified controllers as well. It's a mega update, tons and tons of stuff. I'd imagine probably your favourite feature is the VLAN bit. That's my favourite thing, I think.
Yeah, that they always have like the few highlight features, and this time it's the radio manager, which is much better layout for all of the what Wi-Fi networks are around you and what access points are on what power level and what channel. That I am a big fan of. And then the new port manager and VLAN viewer, those are all very nice. The VLAN viewer almost looks like it's kind of gently lifted off of like an edge switch, because that's kind of how they configure VLANs on an edge switch in the web GUI. But that's a big nice change, and they have some terminology changes. Like they finally went away from default network, which was like that's kind of a Ubiquiti specific term, and you can kind of figure it out, but everyone in the industry calls that a native VLAN, and I think that they've made a few adjustments there to make things a bit more clear, and then those interfaces are really nice.
Yeah, the only thing I went ahead and tied up a load of my VLANs at home, because there was some VLANs being tagged different places didn't need to be tagged, so I had a good play around. But you can't do what you can on an edge switch. You can't just click on a port and cycle between E, T, and U. You click on the port and then you have to still do the weird drop down stuff. But it seemed a lot quicker because everything's named correctly, and then you can. It seems a lot more fluid, and the fact that you got that overview. I'll put some pictures on screen if you are watching this. But the whole overview just makes things a lot easier to understand. You'd have to dive through each port and figure out where VLANs are going. You can get a very crisp overview of what VLANs are going where. So yeah, and you can also search those VLANs as well. So
right, and same thing with the port manager. They added like filters along the top, which is great, because then, especially on like larger sites, for me in my home, it's there's like 3 or 4 ports. It's not hard to figure out which is which, but if you got multiple switches and you're just trying to find, hey, where are all my access points or my cameras or whatever, those filters are very nice to have.
Yeah, really, really good update. And then we've also got a WireGuard VPN client. I think you know a bit more about WireGuard than I do, but I think we've now got the ability to connect to a WireGuard client. Is that right?
Yeah, what that means, OpenVPN VPN clients were the only option before. That was a new feature a couple releases ago.
Cool.
But what that client means is that you can, like if you have a Dream router or any kind of cloud console, you can join as a client to another VPN server. So they kind of cleared up those terminology where you can either act as the VPN server, where you're the central place that people connect to, or you can be the client where you can have 2 UDRs or whatever, have one act as the server, one act as the client, and you can kind of use it basically as a site-to-site VPN. And then if you have like a VPN server, you can also have clients attached to that same one. So this just allows cloud gateways, I think, particularly, because there's a bunch of asterisks about self-hosted controllers and needing a cloud key, and USGs don't support this, UXGs do, but only with a cloud key. There's a lot of little, nuance there, but yeah, in general, most modern hardware can become a client for a VPN, or a WireGuard VPN.
Yeah, it's a shame that removing some stuff from self-hosted. I mean, the Magic site-to-site VPN, I think that's what it's called, is only available on cloud consoles, which is a bit of a shame. I'm not entirely sure the reasoning behind it, but yeah.
That one almost makes sense to me.
Okay.
So there's on the UXG Lite spec page, there's 3 that they call out with a asterisk supply. The number one is Site Magic, which is their you go into unifi.ui.com and it's the easy site-to-site network. You just click a checkbox and it's done. And that one kind of makes sense to me because that is obviously you need software running in the cloud on unifi.ui.com, and you need a known hardware running their software, which would be like a Cloud Key or a Dream Router, Dream Machine Pro, one of those. So like those two need to talk to each other to make that magic happen. So that one is kind of excusable. Teleport is probably the same. Teleport's another one where I think even with a Cloud Key, I don't think it works. I forget. I'd have to look. And that one kind of is the same thing, where that's like the QR code, really easy to set up WireGuard VPN. That one is a little bit more suspect, I think. And then I forget what the third one is. UniFi Identity. So UniFi Identity is the same thing, where maybe just because you need multiple pieces of Ubiquiti hardware and software to come together for that. But yeah, I still am very concerned about the separation between self-hosted and official. So whether it's whether you need a Cloud Key or their Cloud Console official Ubiquiti UniFi hosting or one of the cloud gateways, I really don't like that. I'll be anxious to see if there's more features like that become cloud gateway only. Yep.
Well, you mentioned Teleport. I don't know if you've just seen, there's a new Wi-Fi Man app for macOS. If you've got a macOS machine with Apple Silicon, there's a new app which does 2 things. It does Ubiquiti Discovery, so we've got the Discovery tool back. It also has a one-click VPN feature, so UniFi Wi-Fi Man will live in the menu bar in the macOS. You can click the button, and then you can have one-click VPN to your UniFi OS console at home if you want. All you have to do is sign in with your Ubiquiti ID, and then it knows your devices, and it will show up which ones are available to teleport. So I've tried that a few times. It's mega.
Right, and that's one of the free features, right? Yeah. Not the enterprise version that you have to pay for.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, that's that one-click identity VPN. That is doesn't apply to UXG feature, I believe.
I don't think so. I think UID, you need UID software running on a OS console, whether that be Cloud Key or UDM device. So, yeah.
Right. But yeah, in general, like, beside, we can nitpick these little things, but UniFi Network 8, I'm really happy with. A lot of smaller fixes too, but just the radio manager, VLAN viewer, port manager, site overview came back. Yay. And this is just another nitpick of mine. They actually include screenshots in the release notes for this one, which I love that because it especially going back, just because the interface has changed so many times, and it's like, wait, are you talking about the port manager from 7.5 or 8.0? It's having that visual reference is really nice to show off the new stuff. So I really like that and hope they keep doing that.
Yeah, because sometimes the language could be a bit weird. They could mention the feature, and then you might dig around the GUI and find, where is it, or what does it actually look like? And now they've got some visual representation of what it actually is. So yeah, all good. Yeah, fantastic release. So yeah, we're testing UniFi 8 at Hostify, and then it'll be rolled out at some point. But yeah, all good.
Yeah, and for such a big version change, I didn't have any issues, and I haven't heard of people having like major issues. So
no. I updated my UDM SE while I wasn't at home. Everything came back up fine. So
that's risky.
Yeah. I live dangerously. I update my UDM from outside. This next one, when this launched, I couldn't work out what was different. I spent ages looking at the product page for it. It's the AI Theta or Theta. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Theta.
Theta. So AI.
It's a Greek letter.
Theta. Oh, okay. So that's the new Pro version of that camera, and apart from some new lenses, which are available to buy separately now, and you can also buy the hub separately. So if you, for some reason, want a hub, separately. I'm not sure why. You can buy the hub separately, and then you can buy a new professional long distance lens, which is 50 millimeters, I think. 50 millimeters, I think so. And then you can also got a new. You've also got a wide angle lens at 110mm 360 lens as well. So I guess that's applicable or similar to the AI 360, and they've got a long distance lens as well. And you can now buy the hub separately, but I can't work out. I just couldn't work out what was different between the Pro versions apart from the new lenses, and I think that might be just the difference.
Yeah, this has been a weird camera, and again, I'm not super into UniFi Protect, so this is all kind of strange to me. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it is just the lens option and the kit and all the like buying options you have now.
Yeah.
Because I know when it launched, at least it launched with one option, and it was you get a little computer basically where it's doing the AI features like the processing of the license plates and facial recognition. So it had that little, it almost looked like a first gen cloud key, like that little white kind of rectangle box. And then it had the cable going up to the lens, and that was in the original SKU you had two lenses, kind of a wide angle and more of a telephoto. And a lot of people complained, like, why would I buy multiple of these and then waste half the lenses that I get because I can only use one at a time?
Right.
So I think this is a nice change to allow the option of, like, buying with the lens that you want and kind of buying more piecemeal where you say, hey, I need, just this one part, and you can kind of buy those parts individually. I think that's the big thing that's changed, but also, everything about this product is a little bit confusing to me.
Yeah, they released a marketing. They got these new YouTube videos out now with some actors and things, and they released one about it. And just I didn't realize how small the lens is. So I'd imagine they market the product as sort of a interior design focused device. So I'd imagine if you got a very high end Rolex shop or very high end boutique shop, you don't want some huge, humongous Hikvision camera in the roof or the ceiling. You want something very small and discreet. And judged by I haven't seen any reviews of this. No one's reviewed it, I don't think, but it looks, it looks pretty good, and I imagine the quality of it's good. And because it's an AI camera, it does all the license plate recognition and the people detection and that sort of thing. So, again, I haven't had a chance to use one yet, and I haven't seen any reviews. But yeah, that clears up the difference between the Pro one and the standard one for me. So,
I could be wrong, but yeah, that was my favorite thing about this product is the like marketing tagline of, like, I think it was something like the first camera system designed for interior design professionals. It was something like that. And I'm like, but yes, it is very nice looking, very small. It has the AI features, and now you have the chime. I don't know if that's new.
The AI theta audio. No, that's not new. That's because these are so small. They don't have microphones built in, so you can put the microphone somewhere else near the camera, and that's USB-C back to the AI.
Right, and that's a speaker
hub.
too.
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah,
it's a bit pricier, but it's nice that they kind of have the, compile your own kit ability now, and it's still just, I don't know. You definitely are paying extra for how small and how nice looking it is, but.
Yeah, I'll put a picture on.
I bet they like that.
It's cool. Yeah, I'll put a picture on screen. But there's a picture on the original one of the lens next to a drawing pin, and it says it's 22 millimeters tall, so it's the height of a drawing pin, which is just so small. So
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Sweet. Cool. We've also got this one, the EV Station Pro. I didn't really understand why they've come out with the Pro one, because it's essentially the same as the other one. But I worked in the time since I worked out what it's for. So for those uninitiated, we've got the EV Station, which is the only product on the store, the UK at least, which still has the early access tag. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Hey, isn't UniFi Talk or that's a software? UniFi Talk is early access, kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
The EV Station, so the original one is about £1,000, £1,000. It's got a so it's meant for offices essentially, because yes, you can have it operate without any authentication, but it's really designed for is integration with UniFi Connect and UID and all the niceties that you got in probably the only places in Ubiquiti office really. But it's essentially meant to keep an eye on charging for an office scenario, and then no one pays for the charging. It's all free because it's what workplaces do now. And then this professional one is different in two ways. It's got a black charging connector, but it also has some built-in hardware to accept payment processing. So I'd imagine this is probably designed for a bit more of a public place, where you want to charge people for the payment processing. So it's coming soon. I'd imagine that'll probably be by contactless card or RFID or something along those lines. But the weird thing to me is that they're selling it in the UK, or it's listed in the UK, but it's got what's called a J1772 charging plug, and nothing in the EU and the UK uses that standard at all. And I think it's a bit uncommon. I don't know if it's common in the US either, but I know that Teslas don't use it, for example, I don't think. Just to explain the conversation me and Evan are about to have, I forgot that the CCS charging standard is different in the EU and UK compared to the US. In the US, the J1772 connector, which Ubiquiti is using, is fine to use in the US, it just doesn't work with Tesla vehicles. I would imagine what Ubiquiti will do is update the UniFi EV station and have two versions. One with the NACS standard, which is the Tesla one, and one with the Type 1 or J1772. Evan mentions that EVs are moving towards the NACS standard in the US. He is correct. CCS is being replaced with NACS pretty widespread in the US now. In reference to the CCS standard, both the CCS1 and CCS2, the latter used in the EU, are DC. The smallest section of it is AC, which means cars with CCS1 or 2 can work with slower AC chargers. The AC section in CCS1 is J1772, which is what UniFi Charger is using, and in the EU and UK it is the Type 2 connector, which is in part of the CCS2 standard. The EV explainer is now over. Let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, because you're definitely more knowledgeable about electric cars. I was like, what charges with that?
Yeah.
Because the news I heard of maybe a year ago, probably 6 months ago, a lot more companies are shifting over to Tesla's standard charger. Because they made it license free, and there's already the supercharger network. So it seems like everyone, I think that it's like most, at least like North America and maybe Europe, are kind of standardizing on Tesla. And then isn't there like a Asian standard? I don't know the names of these things off the top of my head, but I don't know I don't know if I've ever heard of
J1772 standard is not the Tesla standard. So the Tesla standard is called the North American standard. And that essentially has two big connectors at the top and then a gap in the middle and a small at the bottom. You are right, the whole of the US is moving towards using the Tesla standard. I have no idea what uses this connector. I'll put some follow-up in the show notes if I can find anything. But yeah, so in the EU and the in the EU and UK, we've got CCS2. It's that big sort of bulky connector, and that is used for fast charging, DC fast charging. And then a segment of that charger, like the top half of it, is Type 2, and that's used for AC charging, so slower stuff and at home. And then in the US, you do have CCS2 on a lot of vehicles, but yeah, as I said, basically all the manufacturers in the US now, apart from a few, are moving towards the Tesla standard, and I believe that they're all going to ship with adapters, but I have literally no idea what uses that connector, and it's really weird.
Yeah, so I mean, I would assume in the future they'll have a CCS2 version of this possibly. But yeah, the professional adding what? You think it's going to be for payments? Is there anything else really for the Pro version?
It's the same display, same support, same charging speed, same charging plug, same software stuff. It just says card reader accessory support. Oh, okay, so it will come with a external accessory for payment processing. So not even on the device itself. Okay.
Yeah, and I think Wi-Fi rather than Ethernet.
That's right. So it has Wi-Fi Auto Connect. So like the UniFi Talk ATA, you can't log into it and configure the Wi-Fi manually. You've got to use UniFi to make it auto connect. To be honest, I'd just rather use Ethernet if it came to that. If you're going to run power to all these devices, why not run Ethernet at the same time? But yeah.
Yeah. Well, possibly, I mean, Ethernet is sensitive to electromagnetic interference, so you probably don't want to run it alongside super high voltage power.
Sure.
So maybe it could come in handy there. But the use case you mentioned of like a company providing free charging for their employees, I guess if you're all in on UniFi identity and all
Yeah.
that, it makes sense. But then, yeah, the plug is the big thing for me. Like if this plug is going to be outdated, already, why would you spend $1,000 to put one of these in, and then no one's gonna be able to actually charge their car with it?
Yeah, so I googled the connector, and the main thing that came up was adapters for it from it to Tesla. So,
That's not good.
No, it's cool. The next one is there's some little changes to UniFi.ui.com. It now shows individual UniFi devices. So if you log into UniFi.ui.com and you're now running 3.2, there's a section on the left-hand side called Devices, and it will basically show if your console is on an early version of software, it will show all the individual devices, their firmware version, their uptime, I think, their IP address, and it says if your console is not up to date, it'll just say update required.
That the listing of individual devices is the new thing there.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah,
I've got some devices on my one here, so I can click on each device and look at the firmware version, the uptime, some other descriptions. I can add notes and things without having to log into each console. So if I've got a bunch of different offices I'm managing, I'd imagine this is quite useful. You can quickly have a look at everything without having to log into every device. I'd imagine that's quite useful.
Yeah, and also the site support button, I have that now. I don't know if you do as well. I guess you don't because, it's US only.
Yeah,
but I have the little button to activate the $100 a month site support that we talked about.
Should we do a live call on the podcast? see what they say.
I don't know if I want to spend $100 on that though, but I am curious.
Yeah.
But having the individual devices listed out, that's very nice because you used to have to go to in the individual console to see that. So it makes sense that they added that. And I have a feeling, because I think the site manager branding, that's relatively new as well. I don't know exactly when they changed that. Yeah. And the tabs along the left make me think they're going to add a few more things there. So right now it's just your consoles, it's Site Magic, and then the individual devices. And I could see, a couple things being added there.
And then the last one is network servers. So if you've got an old cloud key or Hostify or something self-hosted, you'll get an extra bit in there. And then the other change was they removed all the images of the devices. So you used to have the tabs or the buttons for each console you're managing, so Cloud Key, Protect cameras, UMVR, sorry. They removed the images. I used to use that sort of a visual thing we have to read just to see which device someone logged into. I guess just for cleanliness, does look quite nice now. But
I think they just became icons. I only have one online, so I can't verify, but actually no. Yeah, so it's like the UniFi OS, like the console settings, or whatever they rebranded it to. Yep. Yeah, it just looks like a generic like 1U appliance. Yeah. And that's for a UDM, so it's not matching, and there is no UDM icon or picture.
No, I noticed that. Yeah, it used to be a product image, like a photograph of each device. One, it might speed up page loading times, I guess, but also it just makes things look quite nice, I suppose. And the same for the self-hosted. So if you've got Hostify controllers in network servers, they used to be like a generic weird image, and it now just doesn't say anything, just says Hostify and then version number, and then you can log into the controllers. So little bits of GUI changes there, all good. Nice. And then the last bit we've got is a new access point. So for 60 gigahertz waves. So this isn't necessarily new, it's just made available. It's the Wave AP Micro. So I think in the summer I was playing around with some Wave AP stuff at home, getting those tested and making some content on those. But this was announced probably June last year now, alongside all the other Wave stuff, and this is now available. So it's essentially the Micro Pop is what we'll call that little device that would do. There's 5 gigabits max. It would do 800 megabits on 5 gig, 2.5 gig WAN port. It says up to 6 kilometers of range with long range and the Pro models. So, yeah, if you're deploying Wave in a WISP at the moment and you want a smaller little device, looks a good one.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the same price, or at least I thought it was weird that in the US they're both $499. I don't know. I assume the prices are the same for you.
Yeah, it's $390.
The prices between the two models are the same.
Yep.
And the Wave AP it's only 30 degree width, so it's a pretty narrow section, and you kind of need a bunch of them to cover 360. Right. The Wave AP is definitely shorter range because it's 90 degrees per So
Yeah.
yeah, if you got a bunch of clients over 90 degrees or 180 degrees and you get two of them, it's a nice little device. And I've never heard anyone complain about the wave stuff. It's pretty solid.
No, it looks good. To be fair, I think there's a friend of mine in the UK that does a WISP. I think he's using LTU. I think he's used a few bits of wave stuff. I'm not sure. I have to see how he's getting on with that. But yeah, it's a shame because I got my start into Ubiquiti from all the ISP stuff because we both used to work at WISPs, and it was my very first job. So that's my sort of entry into the Ubiquiti world. So I'm glad that Ubiquiti are still continuing with their bread and butter, essentially put it, their core roots of what they got started doing. So even though they're doing all the new fancy stuff and all the hobbies, as you call it, they're still doing some ISP stuff because it's got a use. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, the wave is the UISP in general is kind of the sad, neglected stepchild now.
Yeah.
UniFi's the the star child. But yeah, the wave 60 gigahertz and that AP Marco that is now available in the UK.
Yeah.
Edge routers and edge switches, kind of on life support, but they are like the new interface for the edge switch. That was nice. UISP hardware is just gained the web interface, so they're kind of like very slowly dragging their feet. It's almost like they don't want to be in this business anymore, but then they release products like this that are good, and then like Robert Pera will show up at a trade show out of nowhere, even though he hasn't done that in 10 years. So it's like maybe they're afraid of losing this business, and I don't know. It's tough to say, but I wish they cared a little bit more about it.
Yeah, personally, like when I was back looking at the WISP, but I know you've used Cambium before, but in my own sort of view on it all, that they were the most appealing company to sort of follow, even in that, like without looking at UniFi. They seem to be doing the most, again, like this was probably back in 2018, 2019, they're releasing AirOS 8, AirOS 6, all the multi backwards compatibility stuff and new fibers devices. Everything was coming out at the time. We got new air fiber devices and stuff. So to me, if you look at other companies in that industry, like that do backhaul wireless and things, every other company was releasing a new product like every few years or something, and that was it. New software updates were here far and few between, but at the time Ubiquiti was really pushing things along and doing cool stuff. And I think Willie's got a video coming out soon looking at USP fiber, so I think he's done something with fiber at some point. I haven't seen any videos on that apart from one ages ago. No one's really documented that process because it is very niche. I mean, if you are in that business, you're not really going to film it, I don't think. If you're WISP doing that day in day out, you think, oh, who's going to watch this? So, I doubt you'd film it. But yeah, it's an interesting part of the company, and it's a company that is doing a lot of like different stuff. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, and what's great, I mean, some of those things are still true. Like, they're still lower cost than a lot of others. They don't have license fees. They still, in some areas like Wave, they're still releasing new products pretty quickly. It's just it's easy to kind of look back and go, oh, we missed the golden era of them. That was being their main thing. But yeah, I'm glad that it's still at least somewhat being invested in. And hopefully they do that more. Yeah,
just like but back when I was at the WISP, we did a lot of just in comparison to the hardware. So like we'd have some hardware that was 10 years old or something, the same age as air fiber at the time, and you'd find that you need a special version of Internet Explorer to use it because the web GUI is so awful. It would not. Sometimes it wouldn't show stuff. We had, and then in comparison, the air fiber just works on Chrome with a software update from years ago. We had fiber OLTs. Every other model of fiber OLT I've ever come across has no web GUI. You have to have command line, which for me, command line is a no-go because I just don't understand. I just can't get my head around it. I have to have notes and things about how to use it. And then you just got the Ubiquiti fiber stuff. Well, yeah, you can have a GUI, you can log it into UISP, remotely manage everything. You haven't got to like search commands and do different things. So that to me was making my job easier at the time. So it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, and now like I was kind of like with the release of the UXG Lite, I was kind of like my preview kind of focused a lot on like the different eras of UniFi. So it was like the USG era, and then in 2019 it became like the Dream Machine era, and so many things changed because of that. And I forget where I was going with this topic, but I just lost it. Dang it! I had a point.
Oh, go on.
Yes. Oh no, I remember what I was going to say. Speaking of 10 years old,
Yep.
the XR2. What brought that up?
Oh, because I found the Gang Box on the store, and I was like, what other stuff is on here? And I remember I saw this device ages ago. From what I remember, that's why I put it in the show notes. The XR2. I was going to ask you. So for those those listening, not watching, it's like this little board. Essentially, looks like a Raspberry Pi kind of thing, I guess. It's still in stock in the US. It's like essentially one of Ubiquiti's first devices, I think before NanoStation. Why the hell is that on the store? I mean, it supports, what does it support? 82.11b and G. Like, I can't work out. I just wondered if you had any input on that. What are people buying that for?
Yeah, I think it was literally one of their first devices.
Yeah.
Because the origin story is Robert Pera was working at Apple in the airport division, started developing this stuff. I believe one company time, but he started developing these radio modules, literally. And that was what he used to build, or the company used to build nanostations and all the early like fixed wireless products. So yeah, I think this is, I don't know the specifics about the XR2. That's the specific model that's still for sale. It is pretty ridiculously outdated. It's like a PCI card. You would like put it into a PCI slot. And it's like, I think it's 802.11G.
B and G,
It only gets up, B and G. So it's ancient technologically speaking, but yeah, you can still spend $105 and buy one for some reason. Maybe it's like a Robert Pera point of pride, like he just wants this to, his product is still for sale.
I just thought I'd add that to the show notes because I spent a while going for the store to see if there's anything new, because we don't get EA stuff anymore, so you have to sort of do your own digging to find out what's new. So
yeah.
Cool. Just before we wrap up, have you got anything else you've been working on? I know you've hinted on some UXG guides and things, but have you got some stuff on your website you've been working on? So
yeah, so I made a UXG Lite preview. So that's just kind of a overview of the specs, comparison, kind of quick thoughts when it was originally released.
Nice.
I'm working on my reviews, but that's probably going to take a little bit. I want to do some kind of in-depth throughput testing and kind of documenting the setup and all the little asterisks about what does a cloud key and a UXG do that the cloud gateway doesn't, and vice versa. So hopefully in the next week or two I'll have that review out.
Lovely. Cool. Yeah, you're quite a perfectionist when it comes to reviews. I think everyone who reads it appreciates that as well, so you get some good feedback on your stuff. So
I wish I was quicker. It's just it takes me a while.
And a few episodes ago we spoke about the Solar Point, and I made a video for Hostify, which I've linked in the show notes, where I do a okay job of filming my process of that. I forgot to film some of it, so I did some voiceover for that, which but yeah, I installed it got a few views, not many, but I installed a new lighting pole, so concrete that in the ground, Solar Point cabinet, batteries, basically moved it. So I had a Solar Point installation I installed during 2020 during lockdown, and it was on a very flimsy sort of setup, so it's been bugging me ever since. So I spent the time and did it properly, essentially. And I imagine there's quite a few things that aren't quite right with it. People watched it, but I'm quite happy with it. It took me quite a while. So if someone's interested in Solar Point or solar and Ubiquiti in general, definitely check that video out. So I'll go over some of the details in there and the software as well. So I've got that new software update that we discussed a few episodes ago for the Solar Point. So yeah,
nice. Back from the dead.
Yeah.
Just looking at the image for the title card or whatever you call that. That looks is that the white box below and that solar panel, was that like a kit, or did you have to assemble that? Because to me, solar gets really confusing when it's not just like a pre-made thing and you have to know about electrical and voltages and all that. Did you hand assemble that, or what is that gear?
So I purchased the original gear. The white box is just a standard like network rack cabinet that's made for outdoor. I'll be honest, I spent ages and ages and ages watching Chris's videos on solar. I probably watched every one about 3 times just to get my head around what it all does. And none of it came as a kit. I purchased the same solar panel he did. I used the Solar Point with it. I was trying to work out what the connectors are called, the MC4 connectors. They're little. I had no idea what they were called. Did loads of research with it, and during the original process, I learned wrongly how to ferrule connect stuff. So you get these little like metal things that go over the thing. Like I crimped those completely wrong, so I did it properly with this one. And then, yeah, it somehow worked the first time. No idea. I spent far too long and far too much money buying pre-made cables and things on ages ago. But no, none of it was a kit. The batteries are just standard caravan batteries, essentially, the leisure batteries from a local auto car shop here. A lot of it was just learn as you go and make mistakes, I suppose. But the second this time when I rebuilt it for the video, it went a lot smoother because I knew what I was doing roughly. And then luckily there's a guide that comes with the solar point on how to connect batteries in series or parallel. I can't quite remember which one's which. So you have two 12-volt batteries, and then you can make them 24 volts by connecting them together somehow. But luckily there's a little guide that comes with the solar point. So.
Right.
But
yeah, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm happy to pay someone else to do that or buy a product that solves that for me, because you connect the wrong wire and poof, magic smoke.
Yeah, but it kept me entertained during lockdown because it was a boring time. So yeah,
nice.
No, it was good. So check that video out down below, and then that's pretty much it. So thanks again, Evan. As always, you can find this podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. For a full description of this show, visit the episode link in the show notes. And of course, check out those chapters complete with images to make your listening experience much more enjoyable. We also have an ad-free premium version of this show available on Apple Podcasts. That will help support this episode and future podcasts from the interface. That's about 99p a month for that one. You get all 3 podcasts from the interface as well, ad-free. Thank you for joining me on this episode of UI Chat. Where can you find people online if they want to find out more about what you do?
EvanMcCann.net.
EvanMcCann.net. Awesome. Thank you for listening to this UI Chat podcast. If you like what we do, follow the show on all the podcast platforms and YouTube. Give us a rating. This helps other people find this show. Thanks again, Evan, and we'll look forward to your UXG Lite review.
It's UXG season.
UXG season. Nice.